How are you all?
Good.
Doing good.
Hi,
Doing good.
Mary. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Ron.
Hi.
Jackie. Ronna.
Hi.
Hi,
Carol.
Frank.
Yeah,
This is Ronna. How was your vacation?
it was very nice. It was not too hot up in Guerneville. It was just very pleasant, and we spent time hiking and sitting on the river beach, and it was just delightful. Very, very restful vacation. Thank you.
Wonderful.
I have good friends that have a house in Garnville, but you may or may not know them. Marge Bush and Andy Jacobs. You ever met them?
No, I don't actually know anybody in Guerneville. I just
Okay.
go up there for vacation and rent a place or whatever.
Okay.
It's certainly a beautiful place to be. We were nestled under the redwoods where we lived, where the house was. We just
Wow.
rented an Airbnb. And there was a hot tub outside that was surrounded by greenery and with redwood trees hovering over it. It was just unbelievably peaceful and wonderful.
I'm surprised you came back.
Well, we came back this morning. I made sure I made it back in time for this meeting. I don't want to
Yeah.
miss you guys.
You're a kind person.
So I'm just getting ready to start the Phranko, the baby sweater.
Oh, you're going to do the baby first. You really
Well,
don't have
I'm
to.
gonna do it because I want to get the technique.
Okay.
The
well, that-
techniques are not hard. If you can do a sock, you can do it, Mary.
Oh, I'm not afraid.
With what
of,
you,
I'm not
with
afraid.
with
of,
what we've talked about, you can totally do it. The stuff that you've done and stuff with the socks and the things, you totally fine. Just go ahead and do it.
There's nothing wrong with a little rehearsal either.
There isn't, if you feel like, but here's my rehearsal run.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, this is the one that Ron's doing, and I love this little lace pattern.
Doesn't it look precious?
It does. I can't wait to have her try it on. She was so thrilled when we were over there this week.
How much length do you have now?
Let me measure. I think I have about 14. I got 13, well, 14. I got 14.
And what's your
And I
target?
need to go, 17 and a half, I think.
Ron, your voice is a little muted.
Is it?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the yarn sitting on my computer. Is that any better?
That is better.
Talk some more.
I don't know. I'll lean in close.
No, it's not really better.
Ooh, I don't know what
Maybe you need, I mean, it's not terrible. It's just that it's a lot softer than everybody else's voice. We can hear you.
Well, I was telling Mary that I had a new grandchild this week. And so there was 2 days where I did not knit. I only was at the hospital and then caring for the little bitty grandbabies. And then I just had to sleep because I've not pulled a couple of all-nighters in years and years. But it was really, really, really fun and wonderful.
That's wonderful, Cindy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Morgan Lorraine. And Lorraine is the middle name for 5 generations of women in my family.
Wow.
And so she joined that group.
Wow.
But that was a lot. It was a lot of fun. And her sister was right away. It's like, well, you've got to finish my sweater. And then her brother, who's 5, he's like, well, will you make me a beanie? And it's like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll make you a beanie, JJ. So then I see him the next day because the baby was just born. And then I slept there that night to take care of the little kids. He gets up the next morning. He's like, is my beanie done? And it's like, no, JJ, it'll take me at least a week. Give me some time. I haven't even been home.
I have had a customer in whose granddaughter, she's making a little crochet top for her granddaughter and picked a lovely color of really excellent yarn of Anzula.
Oh, I like Anzula.
Yeah, the cashmere blend, lucky kid. And then she comes and she's been having lessons with my sister. Comes in yesterday. I was like, well, let's get this yarn. I showed it to her and she said, no, Grandma, that's not the right color.
Oh, no.
The color. I was like, oh.
Well, I have taken all of mine to the yarn store and let them pick out, except for this one, but I did show it to her online and said, you said you wanted pink. This is the color. Do you like this? And she did. So then that was totally fine.
I couldn't imagine. This is part of the reason I am no good with children. Oh,
well, it depends on the child and it depends on the age, because at different ages, they are more assertive and more vocal about what they want and don't want than others.
yeah, her granddaughter's 4. I was like, well, dollars to donuts.
Oh yeah, the 3-year-old is the one that's the worst. She truly is. She's like, wants this, doesn't want that.
Yeah, preferences, I have strong preferences too. I get it.
But do you not think just knitting for your, I don't know, maybe my family is terribly picky. So no, I don't like that gray. That it needs to be more charcoal than that. Or
person in my family I really knit much for is my mother, and she would never complain about anything that I made her. She's great to knit for because she will happily take anything. She just loves having it done for her, and she has her favorite colors and whatever, but no, she's always very, very grateful, which is probably the reason that I'm willing to make her things. Like if I gave someone something and they said, oh, too bad about the color, I'm just like, well, give it back.
And that's the last one I knit for you.
Right, yeah, and that's my number.
I saw a funny thing. Where was it? I think it was on somebody on Facebook or like Interweave Knits or something, where they said that now you judge people by whether or not they're sweater worthy instead of sponge worthy. Are they sweater worthy?
a good Seinfeld reference.
Yes.
Yeah, I've made my mother 2 sweaters, and as I've been working on this thing, she's been dropping not terribly subtle hints while maintaining that she would never ask for something I was making.
How are you coming on your Phranko sweater?
Who, me?
Ron, yes.
Well, I was traveling this last week, so I actually got
Didn't
quite
have
a
it
few
done.
inches done. Still in the body, but past the halfway point.
Well, good.
So I've probably
That
got
looks
about
great.
8 to 10 inches of
Oh, I love those colors, Ron. That is so nice.
It is. It's very pretty.
That's the sort of thing my mother says. And she says, I'm not saying, but those would probably look really good on me.
They look good on me too, Ron.
I'll keep that in mind. So, I know where you can get yarn just like this.
Okay. Except for the problem is I've got so many other stuff in the queue before I get to one for me is the problem.
So, yeah, I've
You got all
needed-
those grandbabies.
That's exactly it.
And it was good because, I was on the plane. I'm not going anywhere. I was sitting in the airport avoiding people. And then I was in Austin and spent a lot of time in the hotel and hotel bar with my sister. Did a lot of knitting there. So it's coming along. I was able to distract myself from the monotony of the stockinette.
Yeah, I worked on mine on the airplane and in the airport when I was traveling a couple of weeks ago.
And I give myself, like, I am owed 1 beer for myself every time a flight attendant says, "What are you making? Good for you." Thank you. I am not a dancing bear.
Oh, wow.
I like it when they say, oh, that's beautifully crocheted.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I go, no,
Pretty
no, no.
remarkable.
Well, when people ask me, how do you tell the difference between crochet and knitting? I said, knitting is 2 needles, crocheting is 1 hook.
Yeah.
So if you see
Well,
something,
it's even
one thing in there-
worse. It's even
Go ahead.
worse when you're using a drop spindle and somebody asks, what are you weaving?
Yeah. You know, I don't know. It turns out I'm a really bad weaver.
Oh, it's too funny.
I've been working on.
What are you knitting, Frank?
Swatches, still.
Oh,
just
that's
figuring out
fun.
what to do on my next one. Oh, so that's all I've got.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
That's beautiful.
Oh, that is pretty.
Say something or spotlight yourself.
Oh, yeah, I guess I should do that, huh? There we go.
Wow.
Is it rows of
I-
knits and
I am
pearls?
working on a four row, 4 yarn helix pattern. And so every 4th row is the same color. And I first did it in stockinette, and now I'm experimenting with different patterns that I find. And this was actually from the Japanese pattern book, with the one that's got 1,000 patterns in it.
Wow.
Mm.
Seen
Oh,
that.
that's cool.
And knitting patterns. And it's just simply a simple knit and purl pattern, but it makes a nice texture.
Yeah, it
And
looks
so I'm
really
experimenting with variations of that texture right now.
but yeah, Frank, I've got the other yarn here still, the big skeins, because I was waiting to hear back from you. So just whenever you know, one way or the other. Send me an email.
Okay, I will let you know as soon as I hear anything. But now it looks like it'll be after July 30.
I'm not going anywhere. I
Well,
might leave you without a sweater.
Knitting
to
swatches
come
of various
outside.
colors until then. I'm using yarn in my stash, so it's really random colors, and then I come up with some and I go like, oh, I kind of like that.
Oh,
I took a week-long workshop with Deborah Newton on for designers, and
Mm.
it was really wonderful. And she's such a delightful person, and she and her husband became really good acquaintances, I'd say, on a knitting cruise with me and my husband. And so my husband went with me for that week to spend on Block Island with her. But the reason I started saying this is she makes the point that swatching is everything, essentially, for designers. You swatch and swatch and swatch. And so I'd always done a few swatches. Now I'm just like, oh, I'll try this. Now I'll try that.
I am always surrounded by, like, just within grasp of me. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5. I am.
That's more than I have around me.
Yeah,
Oh no, I've got piles too. I do. I just
oh, this isn't a swatch. This is an actual hat. It was in my swatch pile.
Oh, does it qualify as a beanie? Would JJ like it?
It is. It's Hesh by I forget whom.
It's very cute.
Sold by Weston. Yeah, it's like a traditional Scandinavian baby hat scaled for adults.
How cool.
I like it because it looks like sort of a mid-century imp costume.
Yeah.
If I were going to trick or treat dressed as a devil, instead of just behaving like one.
Or put it under
Wait a
your
minute.
chain
I
mail.
didn't realize I'm still spotlighted, so
Oh
that,
yeah.
Oh,
now I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, I gotta
Let me
click my.
spotlight you again and have you show us if you don't mind. There you go.
Oh,
Oh, see, that is cute. I think he would like something like that. I'll
You
have to
know,
look that up.
It's fun.
Yeah, you
Yeah?
should, you should put it under your chain mail is what that's for.
Oh yeah, my terrible quaff.
Yeah.
Speaking of chainmail, I think I'm gonna be a vendor at this year's Society for Creative Anachronism Great Western War here at Lake Buena Vista. We'll see how it goes. I've had a friend who's been talking about it for a while, so I don't know wear any chainmail though. Doesn't really breathe.
Yeah. Where's it going to be, Ron?
It's at Lake Buena Vista,
Out there by Taft?
out there by Taft. Apparently, it's the biggest SCA event on the West Coast. Huge. And I had heard about it for a few years before I realized it was in my backyard. And so a friend of mine had been encouraging me, like, you need to look into it. You need to look into it. And then it got canceled last year, of course. But this year, we'll see. I'll go. But I know they have a lot of fiber people out there. It's full of weavers and spinners and knitters and other rare stuff like spronk and knol binding and all that.
And when is it? When is it?
Early October.
Okay.
So hopefully the weather will be nice.
Meaning for us, hopefully that means the weather won't be too hot.
Yeah, hopefully it'll only be in the high 80s.
Yeah.
You never do know with October, do you?
Would anybody else like to share their progress on a Phranko sweater?
Well, I'm just starting on my ribbing on the bottom. I tried it on before I got on.
Oh,
And
wow.
It's the
Wow.
back.
That's great, Debbie.
How did you like the fit?
It is really baggy, which I really wanted,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know if I miscounted as I was doing the increases here and I put in too many rows, because already this little where I've capped off is like here on my arm, which was really weird.
I can't tell if that is correct or not because I can't. That is where the underarm ends, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you,
So the underarm is down, is
is.
way down.
it is
Yeah.
farther down, yes.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking that as I was trying to do the V-neck
Yep.
and
Uh-huh.
the increases for the sleeve at the same time,
Yes.
I think I got too many. I may have gotten too many rows in there. I have the right number of stitches, but I think I had too many rows.
Well, I'm on my, the decreases, no, the increases on row 2 at the bottom. So I'm almost to the underarm.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's for my daughter.
You're almost at the underarm. I see. Can
Yeah.
you pull the arm out? Oh, there it is. Right? Yes.
Yeah. That's the arm.
Right. It's a beautiful color. I love that color.
Thank you. It's called my old blue jeans.
Nice.
Maybe that's
Nice.
why I love it. I wear blue jeans all the time. Anybody else?
Frank,
Yes, Rana.
I did exactly what you suggested last week as far as when we were talking about the increases.
Let me
And
see with the increases. Which
Right.
increases?
the ones I'm doing like a dart in the front in two
Oh, right,
places,
right.
two in the back.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm doing your invisible increase, which I absolutely love.
Oh, good. I can't own that increase. That is really June Hemmings Hyatt's increase. I just discovered it in her book. And so I decided to tell the world about it because I think it's so much better than anything else I had learned.
Yeah, but you're the ambassador passing it on.
I guess
So-
so. I'll take
so
that
I-
credit.
What
maybe.
you said, instead of doing an inch and a half, every inch and a half, I did it every 6 rows. So I increased 4 stitches every round, 6 rows apart. Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. And I'm also at this point, now that I've got all those in, I'm also putting a slit on each side.
A slit.
Mhm. Opening it up.
What do you mean by a slit?
I'm knitting flat on the front and flat on the back and
Oh.
forth.
Literally a vertical hole in the side of the sweater?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You literally meant a slit. I thought
Yeah.
maybe it was a magic word for some kind of dart.
Slip, lift, something, something.
You're hung up on your slip, right, left, raised.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm very happy, and I've got about 4 swatches of different yarns ready to go for the next one, but I'm really not very disciplined. I usually work on 4 or 5 things at a time, but I really wanted to get this first one done, and I'm glad I did, and I'm glad I ripped out because I've learned a lot, and so I can't wait to totally finish this and get on with the next one.
And which pattern are you going to do next?
I think probably the V-neck, because I still don't like the crew under the chin.
And you could also modify the V-neck to do a rounded bottom to that collar.
Mhm.
That would not go as deep, and it would be more like a deeper crew neck.
Yeah,
A
and that's
scoop
what I
neck.
prefer.
Yeah, it'd be more like a scoop neck, or what you don't, or maybe just a little bit deeper crew neck.
Exactly.
Do one more
So-
set of increases on the crew neck sweater and take a couple of stitches out of the provisional that you do across the top
You don't do a provisional
or
across.
the crochet
Oh,
where you're adding the stitches across.
yeah. Now, the problem with taking the crew neck pattern and modifying it is that it probably already has expanded the neck as far as it can without doing sleeve cap shaping simultaneously with it. And that was
Right.
my goal. And I suppose that's why the neck is so short. It also
Yeah.
bothered me that it was short because men tend to wear tighter crew necks, I guess. And but the crew neck is intended to be the simplest of the patterns by not having to do things simultaneously.
Mhm.
So to modify it it's better to start with the V-neck pattern, which automatically does the simultaneous shaping of the neck and the shoulder, and then you just modify how the neck is shaped. In fact, I just wrote that answer to somebody on Suzanne's forum. She was asking if the sweater, if the pattern did shaping differently. I said, no, it's up to you, but it's easy to do if you use the saddle shoulder or the V-neck pattern. Both the saddle shoulder and the V-neck and the Henley, come to think of it, they all assume that you are going to have to do shoulder shaping and neck shaping simultaneously.
At the same time. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Frank, will you speak a little bit to where you actually should measure the neck? Should I be measuring down low? Should I measure kind of the smallest part of my neck? If I measure down low, is that going to make it be a little bit wider?
That question. She's the one who has whole series on how to take measurements for iTag.
Yeah.
And
Chili.
I don't really know. where you measure from to get the depth of the neck. What I am thinking of doing is just, if you choose an option of doing a deeper crew neck, just add an inch to it. And, but I'll add an inch using the V-neck pattern. So I'll round it off just an inch lower, but I don't, an inch will be maybe enough, maybe not. I've toyed with the idea of having somebody say, yeah, I want a deeper crew neck and I want it to be half an inch deeper or an inch deeper. But if you don't know how deep it is to begin with, you don't know if you want it an inch deeper or
Yeah.
you don't know what measurements. So I don't know
Mhm.
exactly how to handle that.
Well, you're not very
Maybe
far
that
in
would be a
when you
good
do.
question.
Somebody who was talking?
Rana and I were both talking. Go ahead, Rana. Sorry.
I was just going to say, maybe it'd be a good idea to ask Suzanne next week that specific question, because I've wondered the same thing myself.
Yes,
I'm talking about the neck circumference
yes.
measurement.
One that I was going to say is, I mean, it's not very far into the sweater actually, so it's something that you could for sure swatch and see. It's like, how much do I want to, goodness, everybody's like messaging me. How much do I want to do it? And you could do it and go down a half an inch and try it on and see. And if not, if you need to go down a little bit more, you could rip that out and do another one, because you're not very far in.
Saddle shoulder pattern. The V-neck or
Saddle shoulder would be really hard.
both lend themselves to that approach because they're already assuming you're doing both shoulder shaping and neck shaping at the same time.
And the other at the same time. Okay.
And the V-neck might start you off right with the diagonal coming in.
Mhm.
And then at the point that you get ready, you would just do maybe a couple of rows of more, I don't know how to put it. Instead of every other row, you would put an increase on every row for a couple of rows.
Right. So it'd be more scoop and then go in. Yeah, come down straight and do.
Close it
Yeah.
up closer. But you've got to figure out all those numbers, because
Mhm.
it all changes once you start trying to combine these patterns.
Everything. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
For the website, it's just hard for me to be able to say, enter all of the measurements that we want or you want around the neck. There's so many ways to do that, and
Mhm.
so many different shapes, neck low, neck high, V-neck low, V-neck high. I only do one V-neck, and it's like, okay, you're going to do increases every other row. If that turns out to be too short a V-neck, then you do them every third row or every 2 rows and then every 3 rows. You modify it to make it what you want, because everybody's going to want something a little different. And once you get used to making modifications to a pattern, then it's easy to do that.
Would you consider making another pattern with a scoop neck, Frank?
Well, I am going to make one with a deeper crew neck, but again, I don't know how to tell people what they would enter. It's already complicated enough to specify everything you need to specify the sweater. If I have to say, and I want a deeper crew neck and I want it to be this many inches deep and this many inches before I start curling in, or, all these other measurements come into play, and it's easier to do it experimentally and as Cindy was saying, just try it on, see if it looks like you want.
Well, the other thing,
add some kind of neck lining to it, whether that's what was originally specified as 8 rows of 1x1 ribbing or some other modification. Now the pattern will also gives you another option, which Suzanne said she uses on all her sweaters, which was simply to purl 2 rows and then bind off. And that creates a curled neckline that's quite short. It's not an inch. So that'll add if that's a 1/2 inch wide in front and back, that's going to add an inch to the depth of the neck already.
Mhm.
And that's what I did.
Child sweater.
But it still wasn't enough for you, or was it, Rana?
Well, I actually came down in needle size and I purled 3 rows instead of 2, and I did an Icelandic bind off to keep the curl going, and it
Oh,
worked out fine.
wonderful.
Yeah, that is very much like the one that you've got in the toddler tunic, Ron. I'm interested to see how that looks. I think that's going to be
And
fun.
the only reason I didn't do an Icelandic bind off on it is because I didn't care to write the instructions again.
Well, I'm glad you didn't. That would have made it more than an intermediate pattern, because I don't know how to do an Icelandic bind off.
I mean, I have another pattern that uses it. My heart piercer shawl pattern uses it. So I've got it written in a pattern somewhere, and I could have copied and pasted, but I was like, I've done enough. Writing out the instructions for that particular decrease, which is only because it lays the flattest of everything I tried. I don't know.
I like that one. I think it's a good decrease.
And it's fairly easy to work. But yeah, I like the just purling a few rows of reverse stockinette, and that's what's on my child's tunic.
Is anybody into the Olympics?
I watched the opening ceremonies.
Yeah, I did too.
It was sort of strange. I got to attend the opening ceremonies in Atlanta 25 years ago.
Mm.
Oh, wonderful.
My husband, when we had to order the tickets for everything a year in advance. He's a big soccer player and was very active with the local soccer in Georgia. And so we got to order all these soccer tickets, you know, in advance of regular ticket orders. So then I said, well, we've spent so much money on those. Now we have to order regular things. So we sat down and went through everything and budgeted, you know, I mean, the popular things were so much more expensive, but we made this big plan of ordering everything. And I left town and I said, this has to be in the mail, postmarked by, you know, whatever date. And he took it and dropped it in the mailbox, and the drop time was after the last pickup.
Oh, no.
So we got no tickets except for soccer.
Huh.
I was kind of not real happy with him. And we didn't even consider buying opening ceremony because they started at $600 a piece. That was 25 years ago.
Wow.
So I was really into computers then, and I could do computers like nobody else could do that I knew that wasn't a computer person. And IBM had come up with this great website for the Atlanta Olympics and had these virtual stadium pictures, and you could look at the seats and all that stuff. So he called me 3 days before the opening ceremonies and said, you know that IBM Olympic website? I said, yes. This was in 1996. He said, can you go on there and look at something for me? And I said, yeah, okay. I didn't know why he wanted me to do that. He said, will you pull up the diagram of the Olympic Stadium? I said, okay. He said, would you look at seat such and such, row so-and-so? I said, okay. And I did. And you could actually see what the view was from the seat. And they had made it that way. He said, how's the view? I said, well, it's about on the 50-yard line. It's really great. He said, well, you're going to be sitting there day after tomorrow. They had lowered the price of the tickets, and he had gone and bought a ticket for me, and his friend had bought a ticket for his wife, and they stayed home and kept the children. And we went to the opening ceremonies. It was unbelievable. I said, that's the nicest thing anybody's ever done for me. That was so unselfish.
Wow.
So,
That's good.
So got to see Muhammad Ali light the torch and all that good stuff. But we also had pickup trucks in the opening ceremony. So that was big.
Well, it is Georgia.
It
Mary,
is.
I don't know if you know, I grew up in Augusta.
I did know that.
Oh.
I've never been to Augusta, but I have a lot of friends from Augusta.
Well, I was 12 years old before I finally got my trip to Atlanta, my first trip to Atlanta. It was like
Really?
going to visit the big city.
I
And we
know.
went to the cyclorama, and I don't remember what else we saw. Oh, Stone Mountain. It was
Yeah.
like a big tourist thing, and I was so excited about it.
Well, I came here, I'm from North Carolina originally. I came here in
North Carolina.
1970.
I went to school in North Carolina,
Where did you
Chapel
go?
Hill. I graduated
Well-
from Chapel Hill, and then I did a year at Duke.
Well, I won't hold that against you. The Duke part.
Yes, you can imagine that was a little controversial for me to go
I-
from Chapel Hill.
No, in fact, one of my good friends that's from Augusta is named George Maxwell. They had a furniture store, I think, in Augusta.
Oh, Maxwell's Furniture.
Yeah.
Big furniture store in Augusta.
Yeah, he's a priest at the church that I attend. He
Oh.
was a lawyer that turned into a priest when he was in his 50s.
My goodness.
But anyway, he went to Carolina undergrad and then Duke to law school. But he definitely roots for the Heels for basketball. So my sister was class of 76. My father was class of 28. My grandfather was class of 1898 at Chapel Hill.
Wow.
So anyway, and I intended to go there, but my father told me that I'm from Winston-Salem. He told me that I could not go to a co-ed school as a freshman. So I went to Agnes Scott
Oh,
and I met my husband who was at Tech, and that was that. So anyway,
so maybe we should get back to knitting. Anybody else?
yeah,
have
sorry,
something they wanna
sorry.
share?
Didn't mean to-
Or a
didn't mean to
question? Anybody have a question?
I did, Frank.
Yes. What's your name?
Bradley.
Bradley.
Yes.
To see you,
I'm
Bradley.
in, oh, thank you. I'm in Suzanne's boot camp class, and then also did her iTag sis. So now I'm doing my first Phranko,
And are you in the knit along with Suzanne doing the Phranko?
I suppose.
You haven't attended? I mean, we've had several sessions already.
Oh, yes, yes, I've been going to those. So
Oh,
this is
okay.
it for my husband.
Oh, that looks great. Hold it up a
Thank
little
you.
more. Yeah.
Oh, I like the
And
saddles.
that's the
Very
saddle
nice.
shoulder?
Oh, thank you. It is. It is. This is my first sweater ever.
No.
Yes.
And you did the saddle shoulder.
Fantastic.
We are impressed.
So yes, I had to make it extra complicated.
Really?
But yeah, it's turning out great. And I was so afraid when I started the saddles, they looked so tiny. And as you can see, my husband's quite large.
Uh-huh.
He has a 48-inch chest and he's very thick. And so I laid the saddles and I thought there's no way it's going to fit. And I put it on him yesterday. It fits perfect. So I'm
Yeah.
so excited.
Great.
So,
Oh, I'm
so
so glad to
excited to
hear
get
it.
finished.
I
But my
can't tell you
question,
how many
oh.
times I've heard people say, I've just knitted the top and I can't believe this is the right size. I really think I need broader shoulders in this. And I
I
just
know.
keep knitting. I had that interaction with somebody recently on the
Yes, I can definitely testify to that. I really thought there was no way it was going to fit, but I
Oh,
do
and
have.
the other thing is that person then said, no, I've knitted all the way down to the sleeve separation and I've tried it on. And I said, well, could you send me a picture? And she sent me a picture and the sleeve was just kind of puffed up like this.
Oh.
And I said, oh, you haven't blocked it, have you? Why don't you try blocking the shoulder under a pillow? That's what I do. I put a small pillow in there and I steam it with a steam iron, pulling down like that. It flattens out that seam. And then she wrote back and said, it fits perfectly now. So
Oh,
that
good.
solved the whole problem. She thought this puffed up sleeve meant that it was too short or something. I don't know what. anyway, so I just love hearing that it turned out okay. And
Yes.
same with
yes.
you, Bradley. I'm glad it
Um,
did.
I did have a question though for
Sure.
you. So my next, I actually have one planned for myself. And it's sort of along the lines of what y'all have been talking about with modifying the neckline.
Uh-huh.
So this is what I plan to use.
Pretty,
Oh,
It's
pretty yarn.
it's mohair.
yes.
So I don't want it tight at all.
No, you don't.
I was planning, so when I put my measurements in, I put in a certain neck circumference of 26 inches. Because I had measured a cowl neck sweater that I had, and I really liked how it fit. And it was 26
That's
inches
a
around.
huge neckline. What?
It
Can't
is.
be right.
So I'm wondering what it's gonna look like when I print it out. But
You
from
know,
the schematic, it looks
you could
okay.
just do the normal neckline for, as I said, and modify the depth using the V-neck sweater. If you made a V-neck sweater, and instead of having the neck go all the way down to the V, just have it go down as far as you want and then round it off with the shaping.
Okay.
Are you going to put a cowl neck on this?
That was what I was thinking, yes.
Oh,
A cowl that stands up real tall and folds over.
and did you do this? Is it a crew neck pattern?
Yes, it's the basic crew neck.
I'm afraid it's
And-
still going to be too narrow. It just won't, increasing the width of the neck does not increase the depth of it.
Okay, that's
And
what I
so
was
it
wondering.
might be too narrow, but if
Okay.
it's so wide.
More
it
like
might
a
fall
boat
down
neck?
anyway, but have you already started the sweater?
Not yet, no.
I can change the type to V-neck and then you could shape it using V-neck. Or
Okay.
I could change your neck size if you think that's too big. But I guess
So-
it depends on what you want to, what do you want to make?
I want it to be fairly low in the front and the back.
Okay.
So,
Well, then you want the wide neck that you put in, because that will increase the back and the front. Except for the crew neck pattern, it all has to fit in the top before you start the sleeve shaping, and it's just not going to do that for you.
okay,
So let me change your pattern to V-neck,
okay.
and you can just download it again after I change it. Do you have the pattern with you?
I do.
Tell me the pattern number.
Uh, 568.
48-inch.
Did you, is that it? Is that the sweater number?
Yep, that's the sweater number.
568? Okay.
And I'll just, let me check it real quick. And the title of your sweater is Mohair Sweater.
Yes.
That's it. I can see your pattern.
Okay. I'm glad I checked.
Well, I'll do that right after the Zoom meeting ends. Are you on Ravelry? Can I send you a message on Ravelry to tell you when it's done?
Sure.
What's your Ravelry name?
A row to go, all one word, all lowercase.
Row to go.
Mhm.
AROWTOGO.
Yes, let me see if I can type it in the chat.
I think I got it. I'll send you a message when it's done.
Bradley,
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Bradley,
Yeah,
I
and
just,
I want to tell all of you that if you create a pattern and you realize it isn't what you wanted, maybe you forgot to check all the schematic measurements, or maybe you just changed your mind, you wanted a V-neck, and after this discussion, you may decide you want a V-neck instead of a crew neck. Just let me know, and I can change your pattern for you behind the scenes. You don't have to buy a new pattern if you're, just for that purpose. I want everybody to be happy with what they purchased.
Bradley, I linked in the chat to a photo I put in the forum. It's a composite photo of some Phrankos that I knitted, and the one being worn by a woman, the sort of crazy one with the fringe, that has a more reasonable lie about her neck. That is an 18-inch neck on a sweater that I think with ease was a 48-inch bust, upper chest. So a little goes a long way, actually. If you look at that photo of the neckline of that pink sweater, it's actually quite open at just 18 inches.
Was that the crew neck?
That's a crew neck.
Okay. Oh. Well, that is nice and big.
Yeah, a little goes a long way when you adjust the neck like that. Like that's my actual neck size, but on her it made, I mean, it's wider than it is scoopy, but it is quite far away from her neck.
Mm-hmm.
And it still has a 1-1 rib as the neck treatment in a worsted weight.
Okay. I'm pretty sure this is at least a worsted weight, if not bulky.
Looks it, yeah.
Yeah.
So, just to say, I mean, lying about the neck size to get the shapy one is a tactic, but yeah, that, like I said, that was a lie of like 3 inches from actual neck size to get that much space around her neck.
So should I change the neck circumference?
You have a neck width of 9.625. Usually they are in the range of 5 to 6 inches wide. That
6 sounds more norm. I'm trying to remember from my iTag sis. I think my neck was more like 6 or 6.5. Maybe. I'm not sure now.
Or I'm just looking at random patterns that have been done, and 2 of them are 5.5. This one is 7.5.
As a for instance, that sweater that I showed you the photo of, its schematic lists it as 7.25. And that's, the finished sweater. It's big.
Yeah, my schematic showed 9.5 wide.
Yeah, if you want like a flash dance effect. I mean, which is a type of sweater, right? A nice camisole, and
I just measured my neck and I'm 5.5 inches wide. That's what mine is.
Now, the other thing about the schematic, when it tells you the width of the neck, it is not including whatever border you put on it. So if you put an inch of ribbing on it, it's going to reduce that width by 2 inches. And so that's something to keep in mind as well.
Okay.
So that said, I see one where the neck circumference was put in as 17. Is that right? Yes. And the width of the neck was turned out to be 7.5.
That's probably my husband's.
Yeah, that's what mine is usually.
Oh, I can measure my neck. Hold on. So you need the neck circumference.
Yes, well, no, actually, what I'll change is the neck width, but you can, I don't understand the difference in width here, but anyway. I have a 17-inch neck, and for some reason the width is 6.75. Now, why would that be different between one sweater and another? I don't know. I'll have to look at that, I guess. Oh, no, I don't get it.
Showing 14 and a quarter for myself.
You are 14 and a quarter.
Mhm.
So Ron, do you have an opinion as to how much she should add to the?
I would 14. You want something maybe 3 inches if it's circumference. What
Mhm.
if you're going to put a cowl neck on, because if you don't have quite a lot of space, it will turn into
Turtleneck,
turtleneck.
yeah.
But there's also the fact that the pattern assumes that you'll be putting on a neck treatment that draws in. And I assume you're not making your cowl neck in ribbing, or certainly not 1-1 ribbing, yeah? So if you make that in stockinette, for example, a stockinette neck treatment isn't going to pull that unworked circumference in. So like I say, a little bit goes a long way. My instinct tells me 3 inches. But my instinct sometimes also tells me to eat an entire package of Oreos. So
Ron, when you say 3 inches, do you mean add 3 inches to the circumference or 3 inches to the width?
yeah,
3 inches to the circumference.
circumference, maybe 1 inch to the width.
So
Could she
Bradley?
try on her husband's sweater?
Oh,
Isn't
that's an
that
excellent
17?
idea.
Okay, just checking.
I would imagine a width between 7 and 7.5 inches would give you plenty of neck
Since
space.
it's right here.
Whoa.
I would probably want it
A little wider.
a little bit wider, yes. Or actually a little bit deeper. So maybe 17 with the V-neck? Or
So, and then just work, rather than working the V-neck all the way down,
Mhm.
at some point, finish it off with casting on like 3 and then on the next.
Yes.
So it doesn't, point, and you'll have a very strange shaped pattern.
So 18 then?
Maybe. Yeah, like I said, the one on, I guess I didn't know how wide your shoulders were. The one I have the photo of, her neck, that neckline on her was 18, and she seems to have a larger frame than you do.
I'm pretty good size.
So yeah, I don't know.
I say 18.
Yeah, I've done that on a.
What I actually need to set is the actual width, not the circumference.
Oh,
You
sorry.
enter the circumference on the website, but when I'm going to modify your pattern, I can just modify the.
Maybe between
width.
7.5 and 8.
Okay.
So right
Alright.
now, your width is 9.625 or 9 5/8.
Okay. So how about 8 inches?
Make it 8.
Yes.
Yeah.
His is 7 and an 1/8.
Yeah.
Eight inches.
Yeah, and there's always the fact that if that winds up too big, you can do a treatment where you pick up and with reductions and squeeze it in. So if it errs on the side of being large, there's a remedy. If it errs on the side of being small, try again.
So I've already made those changes because Ron kept you busy while I was off looking in the database.
Pay no attention to the
So
Phranko.
if you download the pattern again, just go back to your log in and go to sweaters, and you'll see your pattern. Click on download. You'll get a new version of your pattern with the new measurements. It'll
Okay,
be 8 inches wide, and it'll be a V-neck pattern.
okay. Well,
How's that
thank
for
you so
customer service?
much. I'm excited to start, but I have to get this past the separation of the sleeves because I need this cable. So,
Oh, you need to finish his sweater. He's not going to be happy if you don't finish it. But your mohair one is going to be beautiful. I can't
I'm
wait.
excited.
Anybody else real quick before we end? Anybody have a question or comment or want to show us their sweater? Carolyn, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing something weird. Somebody gave me a Coach bag, or handbag.
Ah,
Now those things run like $300 or $400.
my
And
goodness.
this one has a sort of a patchwork on the front of it, and it's peeling. I can't believe something expensive like that.
Oh my goodness.
It's like a cheap vinyl peeling off. So I'm trying to knit little patches. I'm going to glue them on or sew them on or something.
Oh, that's a shame.
I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. I hate to just give it away to charity because I don't think anybody'd want it the way it looks right now. Peeling.
That's really a shame.
If there's a shoe repair store in your town, they might be able to help you with it.
Oh, there's definitely shoe repairs in Orlando.
Oh, there you have it.
Oh, and I see Kay Baker is here. I'm sorry, Kay, I didn't see you earlier. Hi.
Hi, I'm multitasking here, getting ready for,
That's
some
all
people.
right.
so I'm cleaning and watching and listening. I'm doing well with my sweater. I got going, got everything lined up, wrote my script of row by row, and it's coming along nicely. So I'm
Good.
very happy about that. And we'll see if it's not, why I did get the V-neck sweater. So if I don't like where it's going, of course, I'm already down, I don't know, probably 10 rows, 15 rows on the increases. But if I don't like it, I just start over. But I have the V-neck to do the adjustment if I want to. So,
Yes. Well, I'm glad that we
and
worked
thanks
that
for
out.
all your help with that. It was just, but yeah, last Saturday cured it, and I figured it out. So
That's great.
thanks to everybody there for showing me your little charts. So,
Well, I guess it's about time for us to say goodbye. It's been a delightful meeting as usual, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. And Bradley, please come back and show us how you're making progress on your husband's sweater and whether you're able to start yours.
Well, thank you. I will.
And let me know if you have any need for any further changes.
Okay.
My Ravelry name, as you probably know, is Phranko, the same way this website is spelled.
Bye.
Okay. See
Bye,
you
everyone.
next week.
Thanks, Frank. Bye, Ron.
thank you.
Bye.